The Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast is dedicated to all things Horus Heresy. This podcast delves into the grimdark universe where Primarchs clash, legions rise, and loyalties fracture faster than a Land Raider's track. But it's not just about the lore of the Horus Heresy. The Accountabilibuddies also explore the gaming side of things, from painting and modeling tips to product reviews and ideas to help you in your hobby. So, whether you're a seasoned Forge World veteran or a fresh-faced scout, this podcast is your Vox channel to the galaxy. Expect discussions on lore, modeling, gaming, and maybe even the shenanigans that your hosts somehow seem to find their way into. Remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there are only two things you can count on: heresy and your trusty Accountabilibuddies.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 85th episode of the Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast. Today, you're hosting by yours truly, Jack, and we have with us tonight the lovely cast of
Brian,
Duncan,
and last but not least, Jamie.
And Jack. That's called being top build and bottom build, because I'm not sure which one's the best. But anyway, we have a fun-filled episode for everybody tonight. We are short on members, but not on content. So we're going to take a second to take a break for station identification, and we'll be back with you after that.
Do you love resin bases? Then go to our sponsor, Elric Hobbies, for all of your basing and basing accessory needs. Use code HERESYABB at checkout for a discount. Legendary Monument Hobbies. Monument Hobbies is a one-stop shop for all of your painting needs. Use code HERESYABB at checkout for a 5% discount on your purchase. Pop Goes the Monkey. Find maker of third-party accessory bits of arms, legs, backpacks, and more, where you can get 10% off your first order over $125 with code HERESYABB at checkout.
And thank you to our sponsors and our Patreon. You know, feel free to join our Patreon anytime you like. We do stuff with things and other stuff. So, yeah, Duncan's in charge of that. I don't know what Duncan does. Duncan doesn't know.
Is there anything I'm really not in charge of other than the recording?
Editing. You're not in charge of editing.
But
you're right. I don't record, I don't edit, and I don't run Toys for Tots. And I'm very glad on all three of those.
Do you want to be in charge of recording?
Nope.
yeah,
nope.
we can change that.
Do you want to be in charge of editing?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not, because then we would never have a podcast recorded or edited or Toys for Tots run.
I have faith. So let's start off with hobby, then we'll go into the news, and then we'll do alternative ways of playing, and we'll pick Jamie's brain on the things that he's been thinking about. So anyway, the hobby progress. Big hobby news for me. I found storage containers at Walmart for traveling. They are these little screw top, cleared or clear plastic, like blue, purple, red containers. Good for throwing in bits, or if you're making like some type of wash that you want to put a lid on. For two of them, they were 99 cents. So I bought one of every single colors because you can never have too many little storage containers. Brian, what have you been up to, dog?
I have been working on some drop fleet stuff, but other than that, I got some parts in the mail for my Lucius Warhound Titan as part of Duncan and I's deal that we're both going to do a Legio Audax Titan that I'm sure he's forgotten about.
Nope, I've actually got it in the box over here near me.
But not done.
Excellent. So pretty soon here I'm going to make some more progress on that Titan, and I've got the main body of it all assembled, but I ran into some issues with the leg components. So hopefully that'll be sorted out here shortly. And I also got some beautiful posters in the mail from Duncan.
Ooh la la.
Yeah, that's it for me. How about Jamie?
My hobby is consisted of ordering more stuff that I probably will never put together. Yeah, I ordered a bunch of the new medics, and I've also have been grinding on whether or not there's a good sale going on right now for Saturn printers, and I'm kind of trying to decide if I want to upgrade my printer or not. So I've been kind of going over that for the past 2 days.
What level of Saturn printers? The 3s or the 4s?
Saturn 3 Ultras, open box right now are 214 that have been refurbed. The open box that have not been used are 280, and new Saturn 3 Ultras are like 380, which is not that much of a deal, but the open box ones are really good deals.
And is this on the Amazon?
I know they open Eagaloo. I don't even know how to say it. Elegoo has opened a new U.S. store. So, like, instead of ordering from parts unknown in the Far East, they've actually got a store and a warehouse now in the United States.
Okay.
And so, to celebrate that, they've got, I think, Saturns and Mars that are on discount.
Is this like a brick and mortar where somebody could walk in? Or just order online?
I don't know that. It's probably online. It's probably because they're... I can do some more investigating, but I'm not sure they actually have a brick and mortar, because most of their stuff usually goes through like an Amazon affiliate here in the United States. But I'm sure it has to do with like Chinese financial controls and trying to skirt the amount of money that they bring in every year that the government basically tries to take from them. So
fair enough.
I don't want to have to go into that, but it's a thing for most Chinese businesses. So, but they're good printers. They're very good printers. I mean, I have an S. Jack, you have a 2?
I have an S and I have a 2. The 4K and the S. That's what I have.
Yeah. I was almost gonna get a 4, but I don't like some of the whiz-bangy features they put on them, and don't really need that. I just want higher resolution and a bigger build plate, which the 3 Ultra will do that. That's what I'm looking at.
I don't know the new floors. The new feature on the floor, seeing them broken apart. Why I do have worry about first generation and the quality of it, like longevity of it.
Yeah.
I think.
So, like, just letting the people know, there's the 4s are just getting ready to come out, like in the next couple of weeks, actually. And the 4s, what they did on the Ultra, and the way the printer works, there's a because we're like now off in the weeds. It has a different way of pulling up for each level. It has like a mechanical separation feature that separate the print from the build area. And it does that like every level it goes up. And while it's supposed to be a lot better on the, what do you call that, the media that it builds on, the FREP, or whatever the new version of the FREP is, and it's supposed to be a lot easier on that, but it's added a mechanical feature into that. Like there's a rocking function basically that rocks the build plate off the FEP. And I'm worried about that. And then it also, on the Ultra, it has a camera. So you can see what you're printing, like it remotely, like from work or whatever, to see if you're having a problem. But it also has like AI rolled into it. And I'm not really up on that. There's like an AI control bot for it.
Yeah, it's supposed to stop print failures. But the issues with the one camera is that if you're printing something, it will block the other side of the vat, which I'm not that concerned about. It's the tilting bed that I think in the 5, if it continues to the 5, I think it's going to be really good. I wouldn't be the first adopter of it, but I think it has a good chance of making the quality of life for people a whole lot better with some sketchy third party prints.
But like, I mean, like, to be honest with you, like, you print more than me, okay? How much problems have you had with it, like failures?
It is down to the quality of the file anymore when it comes to failures.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, like, I understand if there's like an electrical storm or like the power company cuts the power off to do work, okay, and they don't tell you. That's out of your control. But like, even like on my S, okay, like I'm not really having problems with failures unless it's not unless the STL or the print is not set up correctly. Like I didn't do my homework on like layout or whatever. So, or supports, which I'm not really having problems with that. So the 4 really is not much of an upgrade from the 3, but the 4S is a big upgrade. And as we've said, there's just stuff in it that I'm not really sold on. It seems like it's more points of failure.
And I think we can both agree that the 12K or 14K screen means nothing at this point for what we print.
So if you had like a Jupiter, which is okay, so for the people that don't know with printers, for the Igloo printers, you have the Mars, which is a smaller style printer. It's a smaller build plate, like maybe a little bit larger than a large index card. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Jack, would you say? Then the Saturns are like the medium size, which is kind of like where a lot of the volume is for printers, where most people are going for the Saturn.
I think the easiest way to break it down is Mars is if you're only printing infantry. The Saturn is where you can get up to actually printing vehicles that aren't
super
one
heavies.
piece for the most part. You can get away with a Land Raider and a one-piece Land Raider, but you couldn't print a Thunderhawk or a Warhound in one piece.
Right, you could do it in sections, which that's the way most of the prints are anyways. But then the Jupiter is like that big volume, high, large build area. And so like there's a sweet spot between resolution and build size. Let's just put it that way. And kind of the sweet spot where you're not really going to see a whole lot of difference is around what would be called about 8K resolution. On a Saturn. Now, if you go up to a Jupiter, you'll probably the 12K would actually help.
Yeah.
The Mars, it won't matter because it's such a small build area and everything like that. It's kind of like you have to figure out for the size of the printer you have versus like the resolution. So, and generally, like, yeah, you might have very, very, very fine details that may come out, but you're talking stuff that's almost imperceivable to like the naked eye at that point when you go up to like 12K versus an 8K. So, yeah. Now that we're in the weeds on 3D printers, which that's not what we intended to for this show, but
it is a part of the hobby. Like, sincerely speaking,
it is.
Like,
it is.
At this point, it absolutely is.
Yeah, and not being talking about anything illegal, but like for terrain. To help, support, maybe different methods of play.
Or different people who are creators that have come up with other stuff.
Correct.
For alternative models for other games that we're definitely not going to suggest you use.
Well, and then you also have created parts that, we have people that have helped us that are sponsors or whatever have, that's what they do. So.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely part of the hobby, and it's becoming probably more of the hobby. I mean, I know more people now that have printers than I don't at this point. So, yeah, that's why I was looking at it, potentially getting one of the 3 Ultras, because the 3 Ultra was a really good. It's kind of like the end of all the non-super whiz-bangy features that work that are very well sorted out. It added Wi-Fi, which was like for some people was a huge deal, but for me it's not really a big deal because I'd still probably transfer it over USB anyways.
It's not that big of a storage medium on that device, which sounds weird when I say I think it was like 64 gigs.
Well, I don't even think of that. I don't think it was that much.
32?
I think it was like 4 to 6 gigs.
Oh, okay.
It didn't have a very big memory on it, which like that, that's why I would just transfer it over on USB. I mean, But also, there's less potential for it being corrupted or whatever. So, anyways, I'm sorry. But yeah, that's what I've been looking at. I've had a lot of stuff going on at work and home, and I just don't really want to go into it. But yeah, so I really haven't had a whole lot of time to hobby. So I'm just being honest. I guess, is it Duncan hasn't gone yet?
Yep. I haven't gone yet.
Sorry, man.
No. I'm absolutely happy with what you talked about. Let's see here. My hobby progress. As people who were present during the hobby hangout this past Wednesday saw.
I did that too, but yes.
Yeah. I got the blue shoulder pads and backpacks for my World Eater, my 31st Rampagers, and my my champion that I'm doing for them. I got the blues done. That's it. Literally it. Beyond that, this week I actually went to a new game store that Jack has been to here in Lexington. Toured that place, saw some cool stuff. Talked to a couple guys who are into gaming, Warhammer mostly. One of them's a little bit into Heresy. Showed him our artwork. He might start giving us a listen. He might take a gander at us. I don't know. But beyond that, I didn't really do a whole bunch of hobbying on anything, honestly. I did, however, spend a great deal of time helping to teach my daughter drive more. She's now driving herself to and from work. But one of us is riding with her so that she can then leave the car there and then we could drive home. So it's just been kind of a thing.
So does she have her permit or does she have a driver's license?
She has her permit. She does not have her license. But, that's kind of how it goes. Yeah. Eventually, I'm sure she'll get her license. Here in like
it's been a thing
3
that
weeks.
Y'all been working on. So
yeah, here in like 3 weeks, she's actually going to go and test for her license.
Gotcha.
And there was one other thing I had done. 4 root canals. That was what I did last Monday. So yeah, that took up a lot of my week of hell. But I'm on the positive side of that. I've got temporary crowns in because I'm getting 6 crowns, and it's being exactly as fun as it sounds. But it doesn't hurt anymore. So positive thoughts. Jamie.
Yes.
What hobby pre-orders have been announced? Because I know you and I were looking at that earlier.
So this, for us in our podcast, is a pretty big week for both 28 millimeter and Legion Imperialis releases. So we have a lot of the minis that have been missing from Beta Garment that have been announced. We've got Shadrach Medusion, which is the cool Iron Hands guy that's got the claw on his backpack, and all the sculpts of all the new stuff is very good. Y'all are more than willing to say what you think about them. I don't know if we'd seen the next one, which is Hibu Khan, the Seeker of Atonement, which he's a White Scars mini.
Yeah, we'd seen the miniature a while back. They just they'd previewed it, and we just never got it. Saw it dropped.
Yeah. I don't remember it, but he's looks very White Scars-y. I don't know how else to put it. Kind of more ornate, older style armor, cape, got a big curved sword and smaller dagger. Looks just top knot, very White Scarsy. Then you got Tybalt Mar, 18th Company from I believe is it Horus?
Yep, he owns a Horus. He's one of the.
We've seen him before.
He's the one who constantly in the novels is hunting down Shadrach.
Yeah.
Trying to kill him.
We've seen him. I think he was previewed in.
Yep,
he's got the Eye of Thundera sword and the bolter on his hip.
Yeah, he's got the strange, the Xenos blade, culling blade, whatever it's called. It's weird.
It's the Eye of Thundera.
Yeah.
From Thundercats.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody tell you otherwise, because that's literally what it is. We've got Little Horus Axamend, which I believe we've seen before. It's got a big shield and a pretty decent size sword. Yeah, it's Little Horus. Don't know how you can mess that up. He kind of looks like a little horse. So
yeah, I mean, he looks very different than the one that Little Legends put out a while back. But as I have waited for him more and more and longer, he has kind of sit there and growed on me.
I mean, nothing wrong with it. Very, Horus. Horus looking. There's a lot on it. I don't know if it would be an easy conversion, because a lot of the stuff is very kind of specific to the Sons of Horus.
It's sculpted on.
You may be able to do something like for maybe the Ultramarines out of some of it, but yeah, it's a very, Horus specific, Eyes of Horus, Sons of Horus specific model. Whereas Tybolt more, I think, has more conversion opportunity. Let's say it's not as,
he doesn't have quite as much of the Sons of Horus bling. Yeah. I mean, he's got a couple eyes on him, but those are literally just round little circles you could just repaint or even carve off. Whereas Little Horus has a whole bunch of eyes, and then he's got the stylized eyes, and his shield is an eye. Yeah.
It'd be very tough. I mean, you might be able to do a Traitor Legion something out of him, but it'd be very, very hard to convert.
Yeah, especially his gut plate has the Sons of Horus eye, and it says 16th on it. So there's a lot of...
And there's another eye below that, like on the belt buckle, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you basically have to sit there and do a lot of work to clear him
I think
off.
Even on the ends of the little leather straps, it's got like a Lodge coin.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so if you want a generic Praetor that you're going to sit there and carve on, get one of the other ones, because this guy doesn't work for you. No. But for Sons of Horus players, because there's not a lot of us out there, this is definitely a guy who we've absolutely always wanted to have on the tabletop and model wise. So
do they have all 4 of the Minorval
now? No, there is. If they were going to do the new Mournable for late Heresy, we'd have Abby, we have Little Horus, we have jeez. The guy who ends up in 40K possessed by a demon, and then some other nobody. Literally, no. There's no current Mournable, realistically.
But early, you have the early Mournable.
Early Mournable, the only one we would be missing would technically be, oh God. For some reason,
I think they're all there. You have the guys that are the not the Grey Knights, the proto Grey Knights. Garo and
Knights Errant?
Garo wasn't. No, Garo wasn't a Sons of Horus.
I know,
I'm thinking Tarek.
I'm saying the other guy.
So the original Mournable was Abby, Little Horus, Tarek Torgadon, or Targadon, and Garfield Loken.
Right.
So we now have 3 of those 4, but
3 of the 4. Okay.
Tarek's dead in book 3, so he doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
I doubt he'll ever get a model.
Well, you never know.
Yeah. Spoilers, Tarek Torgadon's dead.
It's book 3. I mean, like, come on.
Yeah, I know.
Shocked. I didn't know this.
Yeah, I know.
More
anyway,
spoilers.
moving on with new releases, we've also got something we've been previewed and long been waiting for, especially since it was been on the roadmap from 2 years ago, I guess, at this point. At least 2 Adepticons ago. Maybe not 2 full years, but it's been
I think it's 2
over a year.
Ago.
So it's the Legion Astartes Command Squad. So what they appear to have done is that there is an upgrade pack that fits both Mark III and Mark VI, like the new style Marine bodies. They're coming out with both a Mark 6 and a Mark 3 Command Squad, or if you already have both, either one of those, they're coming out with just the upgrade pack. So there's 3 different boxes. I don't know if I would hazard a guess that either the Mark 3 or the Mark 6 boxes probably will not be a long-term stock type deal. They're kind of more of a splash type release, since they have the individual like the upgrade pack available. If that just doesn't seem like something that they would want to stock long term. So
yeah, that would make sense.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I kind of hope it is a long term thing and not just a splash.
You do, but just with the way GW works, it just seems like something they would do. If y'all haven't seen pictures of it, it comes with 5 shields. There's lots of cybernetic augmented, like basically amputated limbs to replace them with cybernetics. Couple new pads, swords, standards, new heads. I think there's a couple bolt pistols or archeo type pistols, and then a couple smaller swords. It's not very super specialized, but it has parts that a lot of people may not have at this point.
Yeah, I think the big selling thing on this is going to be the banners and the combat shields.
The combat shields are pretty cool. I will say, especially the ones they have painted up are Iron Warriors. They look very good.
I agree.
But they have 2 sides. They have like a standard, like a Legion, a full Legion banner, and then they have like a smaller company banner. And then they have toppers for both Horus and non-Horus,
for trader and loyalist.
Yeah, trader and loyalist. For both banners, you can swap them out. I think there's like 4 tops. For big Marines or 28 millimeter, that's it. There's a lot of Legion Imperialis coming out, and this is one of the things that I have a question about. So it looks like they've come out with a Legion Astartes battle group and a Solar Ox battle group. It looks like they have some of the stuff that's been released in individual boxes versus like the big double starter box. Okay. And so my question is since they have both the Solar Ox box and the Legion starter box or battle group boxes, is the big box going to disappear now?
I don't think the big box really will.
Because is there a way to get the rule book without the big box? That would be the key thing.
I don't know, honestly.
I know you can get the add-on books separately, obviously, but that would be a big question. Is if that's the only way to get the book, then it will probably stick around. If you can get the book by itself without the big box, then I would say the big box is probably going away. There's a lot in both these battle companies too. I mean, it looks like it's got a lot of the fast attack stuff. It's got a lot of the dreads and support equipment than regular Marines or Solar Ox, and then they'll have Rhinos, which most of that I don't think was in the original starter box. The regular Marines were, but a lot of the other stuff wasn't. It was like second and third wave. And then it's got some Kratos battle tanks and Sarkarians. No, they're all Kratos, sorry. And then the Solar Ox is Solar Ox companies, support companies, Ogren, turrets, Lehman Russ, multiple different variants, Cyclops, demolition tanks, Bane blades, and Malcadors. So it's a little bit different than the starter box lineups. And then on top of those 2 battle companies, they've got the Legion Astartes Predator Squadron by itself. They've got the Solar Ox Lehman Russ Strike Squadron by itself. And then they've repackaged a ton of the Forge World and Titanicus mini. So like you've got a lot of the Knights are coming back out in boxes. You've got an Iconoclast Iconoclast War Master Heavy Battle Titan. You've got the Pyphoron, Heavy Knight. Then you've got a lot of Legion AI aircraft coming back out. Thunderbolt, Fire Raptors, Typhon, Storm Eagle, and Avenger Strike Fighter all coming back out. And then you've got some terrain that had been discontinued for a while. It's also coming back out. I don't really play Legion Imperialis. I know a lot of people that do that will be very happy with this. But yeah, and then you've got from Black Library, you've got the Sanctum Imperialis Palatine map, which Duncan, you said you thought was a re-release?
Yep, that one's a re-release. That one was actually dropped out about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer at this point. But that one's being re-released again because it was, according to when I ordered it. Hang on, my email's being silly. That was something I ordered back in August of 23.
Okay. So, like, Duncan's he's like a big map collector of all the...
Yeah, I have all the maps
that they've put out. I would love to have gotten them, but, like, it's just kind of like with the leather-bound books. Like, if I missed one, then what are you going to do? So...
Yeah, no, I've been very lucky in that I've gotten all of those maps ordered, and they're all here.
Also, from Black Library, you have Echoes of Eternity, which is book 7 of the Siege of Terra. It's coming out in paperback, which it's all out, but it's out in paperback now. So, there's also supposed to be a new exemplary battle coming out. Our data sheet coming out this week. No word on what it is, but that's what the word is that there's one coming out this coming week. And I don't know John knows of all the second and third party stuff, and unfortunately John is stuck on a tarmac. So I don't know anything second or third party coming out.
I haven't followed second or third stuff either myself.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to follow in a lot of ways.
Well, that's why it's John's specialty, because he follows all that stuff.
He follows every single last bit of it.
I think there was some new Joy Toy stuff that was coming out for the Space Wolves, in addition to stuff that was announced the last time we recorded. I think there were like HQ and Elite Squads or something like that, if I remember correctly. But I don't know much of the other stuff. So,
all right. So
I think that about covers the news.
Yep.
Yeah, that pretty much tops it all that off.
All right, Duncan, Brian, Jamie. I want to play 30K, but I don't want to play 30K like how everybody else played 30K. I want to be a 30K hipster. I want to do it before it's cool. What other ways can I play 30K?
Joy Toy minis? If you're...
I mean, while that's valid, that's...
How big is your wallet? Because we can go crazy here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really can.
So, yeah.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Well, I was going to say, the normal other alternate ways of playing 30K would be ZM or Legion Imperialis.
Okay. So tell me about ZM. I would like to know more.
I would like to know more. So, go ahead, Brian.
It's new ZM, as I call it, is interesting. There's still a lot to digest. I've just recently started playing larger games of it. Unfortunately, the rules are not written very clearly, nor are they concise, nor are they located in a all in one spot kind of format. You kind of have to hunt through the rules if you have the Siege of Scythonia book. But some important things to take away: that the game format now uses a feature called reinforcement points, which I know confuses and aggravates a lot of people. They don't do a good job listing off what things cost what. There's a small chart buried in the rules in which a Primarch would cost you 8 reinforcement points. Now, a matter of perspective on that. Typically, in a normal game of ZM, you start with 6. And you have the normal order of accruing an additional 2 every game round. And a lot of these Unmortalis missions in the book can very likely end at turn 4. So Primarchs are pretty much almost bust for Zone Mortalis. HQ choices are another weird one in that they typically would cost you 4 reinforcement points, but buried deep in the dregs of a footnote within the Scythonia book, it will tell you that if you deploy a Warlord as part of your deployment before the game, you cut that number in half. Then the rest of it is fairly straightforward. Elites cost you 2, troops cost you 1, fast attack are 3, and heavy support are a whopping 3 points. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
So what's the idea behind Zone Mortalis?
So, like ship boarding actions, or like fighting inside of like large buildings or complexes. That's the thought behind ZM.
Or even caves, caverns, that kind of thing.
So instead of just fighting out in open areas or like in, like city streets, this would be like in the buildings of the city streets or underground in the sewers or like in a factory.
Or some sub-basement of some godforsaken hive city, yeah.
Yeah.
So their way of kind of really representing that is putting you through this reinforcement point system, which severely limits what you can deploy and what you can bring on from reserves.
And then you also have rules for like how to interact with like doors and walls and verticality, like stairs or ladders.
The big one being ceilings.
Yeah, ceilings. So jump troops, not a very good thing to take.
If there's ceilings involved, the jump troops cannot use their jump packs at all.
Yeah.
So it kind of turns it into an interactive environment for you.
Yes.
It's definitely a different way of doing it and looking at it.
Okay.
So for like events, a lot of events, okay. I know like in my area with Blake and Chris that are running events, a lot of the people that we have here are kind of new to the Heresy. There are some people that have decent sized armies, but a lot of them are kind of just jumping in or trying to adapt some of their 40K stuff, like older armies from like 7th and 8th that they still have into Heresy. So they don't necessarily have a whole lot of points to play. Normal Heresy games is what we've kind of said is 3,000 points is kind of the median or the base point for build standard, and for the most part it goes up, except in some of the other play styles where like you have attrition, which would be one of the other play styles where what the stuff you lose, you have less build points for each round. But like the reason ZM is kind of started coming up a lot more is for these players that don't have a whole lot of units or still building up their armies. They don't need 3,000 points worth of dudesmen. They have, 1,000 or 1,500 points of dudesmen, and it's a lot easier entry point to playing Heresy.
It's unfortunately become a really weird entry point for playing Heresy.
I agree.
The way they change the rules, a Zone Mortalis army is not as easy to fold into your main 30,000 point army. There's a lot of penalties for taking heavy support choices and things like that. And just even the things you would consider taking in ZM versus a regular game are so very different now.
So you like in ZM, you love things with you like things with templates or flame templates, whereas that's not necessarily the case in normal Heresy.
Okay.
Well, even then, like they've, I believe, outright eliminated the bonuses to having template weapons. You no longer get shred or +1 strength if you already had shred on them, and the reaction phase is very, very different as well. So instead of returning fire like you would when you're being shot at, the only reaction you get in the shooting phase is either a Legion-specific reaction or an Army-specific reaction, or to basically use your initiative and displace, and you can move your highest unmodified initiative and move, and if you can clear behind a corner to where they can't shoot you, the shots are wasted. So the reactions also kind of turn things on their head a little bit, and it honestly begs for a little bit more interactive game.
More nuanced play then.
Yeah, much more nuanced. There are things that you have to consider very differently. Interceptor fire is still a thing. So if a unit moves on from reserves, they could get schwacked by interceptor fire from a enemy unit. The movement phase reaction is to suppress, where you would, if they move within range, you can fire at them using only snapshots, but any wounds they take are pinning.
Okay. So this sounds hard to start off. As a new player, it sounds like I wouldn't want to start off here. Would that be a fair summation?
Yeah, it's got some chew to it now.
Okay.
So yeah, it's definitely it's not the basic rules that they came out with back in White Dwarf when they first dropped second edition.
Okay.
Right.
So
in fact, I think all the new rules for it are only available in the Siege of Cathonia rulebook now at this point. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's kind of a barrier to entry on it. So to be able to play it, you'd have to have your own Legion Codex or what have you, or your own Legion's rules. The rulebook there, you'd have to have the main rulebook, and you'd have to have Siege of Cathonia.
Correct.
And that book is not exactly easy to find, if I recall.
No, I'm pretty sure that most of us have copies, but those are only available online. So it wouldn't really be a good way to get someone to enter into playing Heresy.
Now, you'd either have to get the digital copy, or I think you can only buy it from GW if they have it in stock. So.
Okay, so not starting there. Let's say this, going out on a limb, that I like to buy a menagerie of stuff. This, smithering of stuff here and there. I bought an HQ. I know I need 2 troops, but say I bought some Terminators, some jump troops, maybe a tank, maybe a dreadnought, maybe outside of the 2 troops, I have one of a few things. Is there a way to play like that?
Yes, there is.
There is.
That's
fantastic.
That would be the unofficial way. Well, technically, there's 2 ways you could play. You could play main normal games of Horus Heresy, limiting yourself with only what you have, or you can play what's unofficial, and unofficially is called the Centurion game style, where you're limited on your choices, you're limited on your selections, and you're also limited on your game sizes.
Okay.
Typically, those games are ones that are below 2,000 points. Your force is not normally led by a praetor, like most of the regular games would be. They're led by one of the Centurions. This game style was piloted and promoted heavily by the OS 30K and Mournable Events guys. And it's been kind of picked up, and it's taken over in some places. And you don't really hear a lot about it recently because a lot of people haven't been playing that. They've just been kind of limiting themselves to smaller games with the main Heresy rules. But it's got restrictions that are fairly heavy, like no more than one dread, and sorry, no more than one dread per 1,000 points. No armor value greater than 13, or cumulative armor values. No named characters, no Primarchs. There are a number of other small limitations, including also no Rite of Wars. But it's not really got as much popularity these days as it did when Heresy 1.0 was out.
Okay.
There's also something that I have talked about a bit out there, and that's basically doing 1K lists, which are normally games that will take about an hour to an hour and a half at most. You build a small force that is literally 1,000 points. Normally it comes with a generic commander. It doesn't normally come with a right. You pick your legion or your force, what have you, and you have very limited stuff available. You still got to get your 2 troops in for your typical force organization chart. And then from there, you try to limit yourself to taking things that are conducive to more use in a smaller point value game. Tarantulas have actually been mentioned a couple times by guys who have done that, which is really strange because you normally don't see them very often.
I think I've ever seen a tarantula in a game.
I've never seen one on a table personally, but I've had 2 people talk to me about bringing them for that purpose.
I've seen Deathwind drop pods, but I've never seen a tarantula. But yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, that's pretty much your limited, smaller ways of playing Heresy. The one official was ZM, which you can actually scale up to be larger games of 3 or 4K size if you wanted to do so. I don't really recommend it unless you're doing like a team game where you have 2K, your buddy has 2K, and then your opponent is a team of 2 dudes who also have 2K apiece. Or the unofficial 1K Centurion, 2K Centurion, or just regular Heresy games of limited size. Of course, there's also another way.
Another way.
Play Heresy.
Another way.
Another way.
Another way.
What is this new other way, Duncan?
That's where you decide that you're going to be going balls to the walls, and you buy like a 4 or 5K army, and you paint it up, and you have all the toys and all the gubbins, and you bring out all the super heavies, and you throw that all on the table, and you go hog wild because your wallet bleeds but does not hurt.
Isn't that called the bag?
Yeah, that is called the bag.
Big blank game.
Big ass game. Yeah, you're gonna throw down whatever you have if it fits into a list, and then you and your opponent, who hopefully has similar amounts of stuff, which at this point every single one of us on this cast could play a game like that.
You get to bring out all the big toys: Primarch, super heavies, super heavy transport, super heavy flyers,
Titans. You could bring all the nonsense.
All the nonsense.
But remember that scaling up that high, you start running into limitations if you still only have your force organization that you're limited to. Unless you throw in allies, in which case it gets weirder.
Yeah.
And typically those games will turn into whoever his first turn is going to dominate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Games like that, while they're fun, while they're wonderful and awesome to play, they can be really annoying. But
they're
you're
very
also going to be
thematic and scenic for other
they
people
are.
that aren't actually playing the game.
Yeah, they're great set pieces to bring other people to come over and go ooh and ah and man, that's cool. I'd love to do that. But they're not as involved as they look, because with all the big guns and everything, you're not going to play as long for the most part, because bigger guns are going to clear off more stuff quickly.
Yeah. There is another way to play Heresy,
way,
which I really haven't seen a whole lot in recent. 1.0 used to be something of a thing. Nowadays, I've only people kind of briefly talk about it, and I've only seen a couple events that have actually done it kind of as a localized rule, which is Highlander. And it's kind of along the lines of Centurion, but basically you only allowed to take one of every slot until you fill out every slot.
One of every unit, you mean?
One of every unit, yeah, like unit type.
So
like
you could have one thing of the spoilers, one thing of tacticals.
Yeah, you go. Yeah,
Okay.
one troop. Then you can go one fast attack, then one elite, and then one HQ, and then you can go back and fill in another slot after you've filled in all those options.
But you can't fill that slot with a duplicate of the one used before.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've seen a little bit of that before at a couple of events. I believe Nick up in Indiana, the event that he's running on the 15th of this month, he is encouraging Highlander, but it's not mandatory.
So, like, I've seen it in stores that are trying to build a community where, like, you start out with a certain point total, and they kind of, like, want you to buy a unit from the store and build it and then, like, you add it to your army, and then, like
a slow grow league?
Like a slow grow league. And so that's kind of where you're going to run into, like, these Highlander type army builds where you get, like, one choice kind of every, let's say, 2 weeks or a month that you have to build out and paint for the slow grow league. And you'll go up from, like, 500 to 750 to 1,000, and you keep adding units, like, one at a time. So that may actually be a good way to kind of start out if you wanted to try and start doing a slow grow league with get other people in the game.
Yeah, it's definitely a different way of doing it, and it's a popular way of doing it because I've seen a lot of places that have done slow grows. Our friend Chris Pretty down in Texas is actually running one right now. Shout out to Pretty and TFL guys down there for doing that because that's awesome. And they actually posted some pictures from a recent event they did with some really nice looking armies. I saw a really nice Sons of Horus army looking down there. But
Sorry, go ahead. Go
ahead after you, brother.
Well, I was going to say I briefly mentioned earlier, there's another one that we've seen at other events where it's like the reverse of that, where you play like a sustained battle, and every round you have less points or less unit types.
De-escalation.
It's a de-escalation, yes.
Yeah, so like going from start off in your first game in 3,000 points, and then going down to 2,500, and then going down to 2,000.
Right.
As your losses from each game are attrited down from your army.
And like I've seen in some cases, especially like LVO, where they've gone to no tanks or something like that after second round because they all got basically blown up after the first round or something like that, along those lines.
Yeah, those are different ways of running events. Or even running campaigns, which are definitely something that's kind of cool and neat. But I don't see that as really being a good way to bring someone in to start off with a Heresy game.
Those are, I would say, more established players.
I would agree. There are some things that I've heard people talking about that they have used to try to encourage people to get involved in the Heresy game. There was one guy who was working on kind of a Heresy kill points, or not kill points, but kill team, which I thought was kind of neat. I think that was Arthur Alex, or our buddy Alex up in Canada, who was working on that. I haven't seen the rules on that for a while, if ever. But I know he had worked on that some. I know a couple other people who worked on concepts like that.
It'd be cool. I admit, I'd be interested in it, especially like if you just, with how a lot of stuff goes, just traveling, it'd be a lot easier to travel with. So
yeah, it would definitely be kind of a neat concept of take a squad, bulk up each dude individually with whatever you want for it, and just kind of have fun. I think that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I think that'd be kind of neat.
You know what? I have to correct myself.
Oh,
they still have the blast or template weapon special will gain a +1 bonus to any wound rolls. So it's not that it modifies the strength; it gives you a flat up +1.
In ZM. And ZM's also a lot more limited because you've got the walls and you've got ladders and you've got doorways, and you've got voids out there.
For the record, I don't think I've ever seen a Zone Mortalis board that utilizes the ladder rules.
I've seen one big one, but normally, yeah, you're correct.
I haven't either. What I always thought would be kind of neat would be to have a full ZM board and a couple ladders to a level above where you have another smaller ZM board, and then you could have people traverse levels to fight. And I thought that'd be kind of neat.
4D chess?
Yeah, something like that. Or 4D Heresy ZM, however you want to play it. I thought it'd be kind of neat, but I don't know how workable it would be. But yeah, ZM's a game that really deserves a lot more look than we can sit here and give at the moment.
I feel like it's one of those things where I think I'm just going to sit down and just kind of rehash what they have into a more digestible format.
Yeah, like a condensed rule set or whatever. That's more to the point.
Yeah, it's just all over the place.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not going to lie. Whenever I'm looking up a unit, like, a brand new book, I spend so much time going back and forth between pages trying to remember what all the special rules do.
Yep. You know what would be awesome, which I would doubt we'll see, is that wasn't that the little mini black book that they do with the heresy rules and 1.0, kind of like 1.5 where they condensed everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that book. That was a nice book.
Yes, it was very nice.
And it didn't weigh 37 pounds.
Yeah, no, if they actually would strip all the fluff and the extra pictures and just give us a rule book that was just the rules, condensed, formatted in a way that made sense, I think everybody would be happy with that. But I don't see that happening.
No, I don't see it either. Yeah, I mean, we were totally shocked when that happened before, but I mean...
Just 3 books. The rules, traitors, and loyalists.
Well, 5.
Yeah, Mechanicum,
Solar Rocks, and then 6. Because you got to remember the Imperial Knights and all that.
I refuse to remember all that.
Yeah, but if you're just gonna do straight up only heresy, just base level.
Well, I was looking
the Traitor Loyalist books and then a condensed rule book.
Well, if you look at it right now, they already have their own books because they're not ginormous with a bunch of fluff in it.
You're right, they're not.
I mean, there still is. They could thin them down a lot more and make it like more linear and like, here are the weapons, here are the rules, and here are the units.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And just not have any of the different Legion fluff and pictures and that kind of stuff. Just literally make it straight up rules. I think that same thing with the big rule book. I mean, that would be super awesome, especially, and same thing with the ZM. Which, I mean, they kind of did to a degree when they had it in White Dwarf, but...
That was a very limited ZM rule set, and it really did need to be fleshed out. I think it was, 3 pages?
I agree. I mean, they had to fit it in a magazine article, but yeah. It was mainly just to get playing again, that game type, and then, as we said, the main... big part of the rules have come back out in Sithonia.
Yeah, and ZM's been popular since the minute it dropped and people got hold of those rules for 1.0. So it's still hugely popular. And honestly, smaller games I find a lot of fun with because you don't have to get all involved. You don't have to get your super duper killy units. You don't see Death Stars. You see people using the meat and potatoes of Heresy in playing those in Centurion, and that's one thing that's always been cool to me. And I really would love to see GW expand officially with their next campaign book and just bring out basically their version of Centurion. and say, this is how we intend you to limit it for smaller games, yada, yada, yada. Something like that, I think, would be very well received in the community, rather than leaving the unofficial stuff that has been out there floating in the ether that people at X event or Y event don't want to use because it's not an official product.
Looking at the ZM stuff too, a lot of people kind of shit on the spoiler squads, but I think they really have a place in Zone Mortalis.
Yeah, they do.
They absolutely do.
There are a lot of the units that people crap on in like normal 30K, they're actually good or very good in ZM.
Yeah. Like in a usual, or what we would typically consider to be a standard size game, 3K plus, you don't see a lot of your generic troops being taken, like your tax squads or the despoilers, because yes, there's a troop tax and people will take them, but they don't take them and actually use them very much. They kind of use them to throw them at an objective and sit on it and just kind of ignore them for a lot of the game, unless it's something that your opponent's going to get a point for killing. But for ZM, where you can throw like chainswords on a tax squad and then have them be the prickly porcupine with bolters, bolt pistols, and chainswords, they become really, really good.
Yep. And how often do you see people using like heavy flamers in a normal 30K game, whereas in ZM you're like, oh, give me more.
Yeah. I think ZM needs a bit more love from GW, and I think smaller point games that don't involve quite as many of the weapon skill 5 units and above, need a bit more attention as well. Because not only are those games or those game types even just good for light, casual, easy transport and light, easy games to play, but they're also great for introducing people to Heresy and, in a way, to Games Workshop games if they haven't been involved with some. That's one thing I personally do like about the battle forces is you can sit there and build a very small ZM force or Centurion style force out of just one of the Legion Astartes battle groups, and they're easy to do, and you don't need to make a giant investment of the big box with everything in it.
Now, if I remember correctly, though, I thought, didn't John say with the Solar Ox box that you couldn't use the Sentinels?
Yeah, you can't really use those in ZM.
Yeah.
Although there has been a lot of talk about, from my understanding, of people using them in ZM or recommending they get used in ZM.
Yeah.
Now, remind me again, is it because they are a cavalry unit?
Yeah. Cavalry can't be used in ZM.
Yep. Okay.
Which I think we all kind of agree on here is kind of ridiculous.
Well, I mean, it'd be like like having a javelin flying down the hallways. I don't know if that would work very well, but
yeah, no, I hear you entirely. I don't think having a javelin flying down a hallway in ZM would make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
but I played against that Army 1.0 with the Dark Angels acidic bolter rounds.
Yeah,
that was a dumb game.
I think all of us hated those bolter rounds.
I didn't. I had one of those armies.
Yeah, but you were playing those guys, and so you absolutely would have loved those rounds.
Well, let's just put it this way. I had to totally rip the arms off of 6 or 7 squads of guys coming into 2.0 because those didn't exist anymore.
That's fair.
So now they're a lot more balanced.
Yes. I think everybody's kind of made some sacrifices with stuff they've had to rip and tear because of the newer edition.
I have not.
I really haven't.
Everybody except Jack and Brian. Okay, maybe it's just me and Jamie who've had to make changes to armies because of the edition change.
Well, I'm still down to only having one army right now, so there's that.
Yeah, but you have 20,000 points of said army.
So?
And?
Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean,
some people start new armies. Some people just keep buying more stuff for the same army.
I will give our friend John credit that he actually has multiple different armies. They're not just all Ultramarine, even though they all go with the Ultramarine. How about that?
That's fair. That's fair.
You know what excuse I use?
What?
You just don't want to paint something other than Death Guard?
No. I have Alpha Legion. They're my wife's army.
Oh, okay.
That's fair.
Well, that's what Asher wants. So he wants an Alpha Legion army. I'm like, well, have at it. Start painting, man.
All right.
I think that's another topic for another day, but
I do too.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to cover?
It's technically possible to run Fury of the Ancients and Zone Mortalis if you play 2,000 points.
No, we're not putting that evil out there, Ricky Bobby.
Nope.
And we shouldn't do it.
Nope, that's a nope for me.
Not wishing that evil on people.
By the way, I have to make a correction from earlier in this cast tonight. The map that is we were referring to that is going out for pre-order next weekend is actually one that has not been released before unless you got the limited edition book Echoes of Eternity. You got it with that. But I have double-checked while we've been recording my actual collection, and that is actually one of the maps I do not have, and that is apparently map that I have not had access to get because I didn't get that limited edition book. So yeah, new map for Heresy for the Capital Imperialis or the Sector Imperialis. That is new.
What is your faith on being able to procure that map?
100%.
It's just regular black library. I don't think it's limited edition or anything.
Nope, so. It's not. It does not appear to be limited. So I will definitely be going and doing my best to acquire that and pre-order it the minute it is.
Oh, hold on, it is limited edition. AT map was originally included. Okay, with the limited, you're right. Sorry, Duncan, you are.
No, that's all good.
Right.
I am still going to get it because I want the map collection from that complete. So yeah, I'm gonna get it no matter what.
I would be right there with you, but I didn't get any of the previous maps, so now I just kind of would feel sad if I had one and not all the rest.
There's one actual map they have done that I have not acquired that I wish they would put onto the cloth map so it would be collectible, so it would be cooler than just a poster map. And that is it's called the Legions in Paris Carta Galactica. That literally is like a 3x4 or a 3x3 map of everything where the heresy took place.
Like where all the battles.
It's just the galaxy. It's just the galaxy.
Galaxy with all the battles.
Yeah, I would love to get that on one of the collectible cloth maps so I could sit there and just cover my wall in those. Yep. But as it is, it's basically $32 or $33 just for that on poster board. And it's not really decorative, it's not color, so it's not something that really appeals to me to get. But it is a cool map.
All right. Is there anything else we want to cover? Any announcements? I know the Battle Barn is having an event next Saturday. The 15th?
The 15th. Yep.
Day before Father's Day.
Yep.
ATC is coming up in July.
Yep. Our friend Blake is helping Mace Whitaker, the guy who's running the Heresy at ATC.
Yep.
So that's a cool thing.
And that's in Chattanooga. So
yep.
Do see if he's not on vacation, or we'll probably be there. I don't know about Joe, but they may.
I don't know. Joe may be there, maybe not. I haven't asked Joe, but I'll reach out to our good friend Judge Joe and see if he's going to be able.
I think both of them made it to the last event that Blake and Christopher had up there in Madison. So
I think so.
What else is coming up? I am starting work. I know this is crazy. I know everybody's just like, what? I am getting ready to start work on the White Scars Charity Army. So I have a list that we have in the Discord channel. If anybody wants to, I'd be more than happy to take looks at suggestions and changes to the list. Like what I have on the current list, I have minis for already, but I'm open to changes and changes, like suggestions for it before I start building the army out. So if you want, submit some changes or recommendations in the Discord channel, and we'll take a look at them.
What channel in the Discord?
Transfers for that army?
I have transfers.
Okay.
I'm not going to say I wouldn't like more transfers, but I was able to snag some when Forge World put all that stuff on liquidation at Adepticon. What was it, 2 years ago? They put all the stuff out on the tables trying to get rid of all the heresy stuff. I was able to snag a White Square transfer set.
What channel would this be, or what chat would this be on the Discord?
In our Discord, it is in the it's in the Accountability Buddies announcements, and then Toys for Tots.
Yep, that would be the Toys for Tots channel.
And there's there's pictures of the stuff that Brian did for the word bearers, but if you scroll up a little bit there, I have an army list posted for the White Scars, and I will copy it and put it lower towards the start, and so like down towards the bottom, so that people can start posting suggestions on it. And as I said, I like the list that I have in here. I have models for everything in it right now, and there's some other models too, like the con. We're obviously Duncan has been working on. Well, has it? I don't know if he's been working on it recently with all his.
No, I have honestly not worked on it the past just before Adepticon.
Right, but did that post? I don't know if it did or not. You have it, so
yes, I do have it, and I will finish it up for that army.
No, don't worry about it. No rush. But there's going to be some other models that are not on the list that I'll end up throwing in. Like, I'll probably, if I can get my hands on some of the other named guys, I'll probably throw that in. But I have a lot of the White Scar specific units other than was it the Eben Keshig? I don't have, which are the Terminators with the swords. So that's the one unit I don't have yet.
When do you start collecting stuff for the army after this? Is it now?
I actually have stuff for our armies after this already. So, I'm willing to take stuff at any time. There's not a list finalized, but the thought was I have a Night House that I'm looking for the little guys.
Armigers.
Say what?
Armigers.
Yeah, I'm looking for Armigers and maybe one of the super big boys, if anybody's super generous. I've got a lot of the medium size and Lancer style knights available for it already here. And then I have roughly 200 plus Mark IVs and available for multiple armies, like on sprue, that are brand new, that one person donated.
Nice.
So,
so the next one for the 2020. The 2025 one would then be Knights is what we're looking at?
Knights and maybe like a Marine army. Yeah. And I'm open to suggestions for house and for the Knights, like what house. I have some transfers for what's the one that's aligned with Horus? The main one that's black and gold.
Couldn't tell you, to be honest. I've never paid much attention to the Knights.
Oh, yeah, I'm drawing a blank on that one. I know Malinax is a big trader one. Maccabeus is a big trader one.
I've got Maccabeus transfers.
Okay.
I've got the main Maccabeus transfers, which have long been out of print for a long, long, long time, and then they've come out with some on the newer big plastic knights, like the Lancer.
Yep, they fortunately included them on the 3 new plastic knight kits.
So I've got transfers for those for Maccabeus, if that's what people would be interested in. But yeah, I've got a Lancer and 3 regular knights right now.
Which, if anybody wants to see some gorgeous Maccabeus knights, ping Chris Berger on the Discord. because he's got some very, very nice ones.
Yes, he does. They're very, very beautimous. Much better than mine. But yeah.
Much better than mine too.
So yeah, looking at getting Toys for Tots stuff going. Don't have a painter yet for the white scars. I have paints for them. I got, but I'm not sure if I'm going to paint them or we'll find somebody that wants to paint them.
Duncan can do it.
I'm not a bad painter, but there are definitely people that are much better than me. Let's just put it that way.
So what you're saying is putting out a call for anyone who might be interested in painting the next Toys for Tots charity army being White Scars.
And I will be, like, what I've done in the past for people that are wanting to donate their time to paint is that I usually will build the army for them and ship it to them to save them some time. Some people don't like that, but a lot of the painters in the past that have worked on stuff have really liked that because they can just get it down to the painting.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm willing to do that. And in some cases, I've even, like, been able to get them paints if they want stuff specifically. Or, like, sometimes we've had sponsors in the past that have donated paints for the armies or parts for the armies, and we get them to the painters. So, but yeah, I want to try and get it done while over the summer if I need to build it out while I've got time before I get into fall.
Okay. Dig it. Do we have anything else we really want to talk about? Or is that where you were heading, Jack?
That's where I was heading, sir. Duncan, take us out of here.
Thank you, listeners, for being with us on this, the 85th episode of the Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast. We appreciate you listening. We want to remind you to stay accountable to yourself, stay accountable to your hobby, and stay accountable to your buddies. And tonight I've been Duncan, joined by
Ian.
Jack?
And Jamie.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye. There you go.
Like and subscribe and see ya.